This is a tutorial on how to use My Vinyl for Jukebox Owners. This is an iOS app that runs on iPads and iPhones. You can use it to keep track of your record inventory as well as print title strips. Let's take, for instance, you purchased the app and you just downloaded it. The app then starts up with no records, no information in it. So if you try to look at anything, it will come up with nothing. No title strips to view, no 78 records, no 45 records. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add a record. There are two entry points for that. One is the plus button. Sometimes that's not quite as noticeable, so I also added it down here, add new record. So add new record and the plus button do the same thing. So let's tap that. So that then brings up the search catalog number view. This will allow you to search by catalog number, but it does require that you have a Discogs account and that you sign into Discogs. You may not want to have a Discogs account or not interested in that, and that is okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip the sign in to Discogs and not deal with that until later, and where I will show you the sign in and what functionality you get after you sign into Discogs. So this first part, we're going to, instead of searching, we are going to tap create new record entry and enter all the information ourselves. So this brings up the record edit view. So first thing we probably want to do is add an artist. I'm going to go with Harry Belafonte. And what I want to do is show you the on-screen keyboard so you can sort of see. So typically you would have this on an iPad or iPhone, the on-screen keyboard. So after you've entered the artist, you would click done, or you could tap on the next field. We'll just do done. And so what this says done is brought up some options for choosing a sort artist. So you probably want to choose Belafonte Harry, so it sorts by last name. So we will do that. And then we're going to need a title. So we'll go with Banana Boat. Don't worry, this will auto-correct for me. Done. And so sometimes people sort of caption this with day O. Let's get that parentheses right. Done. And so that is entered. Now you notice the next two options are superscript and subscript. Normally if you have one title, you don't deal with this. Sometimes with two-line titles, you might keep it as is. But what this does is give you an option to de-emphasize that line. So if we do title 1 superscript, it'll de-emphasize it. And title 2 subscript will de-emphasize that. So in this case, we want to de-emphasize Day-O. So the actual title is Banana Boat. Some people know it as a Day-O. So we'll have that included into the title strip. Now, let's say, for instance, you happen to have a record that has an artist on side 1 and a different artist on side 2. So what we will do is we can then change this artist. We can clear out this information and we will choose Elvis Presley. And it'll give us options for choosing a sort artist. So we'll choose Presley Elvis, tap done. And you will notice on the title strip, it now shows Harry Belafonte / Elvis Presley. Now, it still shows artist side A is Harry Belafonte, side B is Elvis Presley. But down here, we have display artist set as Harry Belafonte, Elvis Presley. So certain instances, you want to keep your artist name as is on, each side, but you might want to customize it. So you could do that. And if you don't like the way it's been auto-generated for you, you can edit that. Let's just say maybe we wanted to go with just various. So we could do that. So now it shows various for the artist on the title strip. And we still have side B artist is Elvis, side A is Harry Belafonte. Now let's go ahead and add a title for the other one. We can just go with Hound Dog. So right now we have enough information entered for a record. So if you're just interested in just entering enough information to print title strips, you could stop here and hit save. We are not going to do that right now because we're going to go through the rest of the information that is available. So we have additional information is label. So that would be your record label. In this case, we'll go with RCA. Catalog number, we'll just put 1, 2, 3, 4. Condition. So the app uses 2 preset ways of grading your records. One is Goldmine, one is not. These are just sort of known record collecting organizations who've sort of set their own record grading scheme. So you have the option of using one or the other. They're pretty similar in some cases. Knock has excellent, I guess, and Goldmine has very good. So we'll go with very good plus plus. You also can pick your own genre, or pick a genre. Now we have a preset list of genres that are available, but if you find that the listing here does not suit your needs, you can edit this. So we can hit the edit button. And over here on the top left is a plus, so we want to add a new one. We'll choose techno. Done. And the new one automatically just gets added to the bottom. Let's just say it's something that we're going to use frequently, or know you're going to use frequently. You can reorder this list. So we might be using techno a lot. So if we're interested in doing that, we can move it all the way to the top so we don't have to scroll all the way down to find our selection for techno. So we can hit done and then select techno. And now we've added our own custom genre. The next option is determining whether your record is an EP. So is it an extended play or not? Yes, no. This one happens to be not, so we'll leave it at no. Encoding, you can leave this as blank as well. You can also select unknown, stereo, or mono. So this is just so you can keep track of whether it's a stereo record or a mono record if you like. We'll choose stereo. Location, this is sort of a free form. You can do whatever you want with it. You can say, use it to store other information about the record or where it is. So maybe I just happen to put it in my Seaberg R. So I'll set that. So it's located in my Seaberg R. Slot A1. Again, this is free form. You don't have to use it for slot. So you can use this for whatever custom information you want. Just you'll have to know location has a certain meaning. And slot has another meaning. And so moving on, we can edit our cost. Say we paid $3 for this, not 30. $3. And it's worth more than what we paid at $10. Done. You can also set quantity. So if you happen to have 10 of the same thing with the same condition, you could say I've got 10 in very good condition. You want to do that. Here's 10. Otherwise, you can have separate entries. They'll just show in your list as separate entries when you go to view it. So you probably would have separate entries for having one that might be very good condition, one might be mint. So you can do that as well. There's another field for release date. I don't know. This what came out in 1967. Just a guess. Who knows? So I put 1967. And then there's the date added field. This is automatically added by the app. but you can change that if you like. So if you don't like the format, you can edit whatever way you want. So we could put it February 2025 or something like that. So again, this is free form field, so you can put whatever text in you in. It's not limited to any particular formatting. And then comments, free form comments, whatever you would like to add. Let's take, for instance, this record happens to have a picture sleeve, so maybe I'll add that. Done. So now it shows comments, picture sleeve. Next option up is you can choose a title strip. So you can change this from the default to something else. Let's pick this one. So now we've changed the title strip. There's a shortcut, so you don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom. So we can tap up here and change the title strip as well. And after you've done that, you can decide whether you want to add that to the print list. We'll go ahead and do that. Now you have additional options of whether you want to use a simplex or duplex title strip. So simplex is typically used with 78 jukeboxes and duplex with 45s, although there's some overlap. So some 45 jukeboxes or 78 jukeboxes might use a duplex title strip. So you can change that as you need. There's label positioning. This has to do with the type of title strip that you choose. So we can choose a different one that sort of lends itself to that, to repositioning. So I'll choose this one. And you want to sort of recenter that a bit to the right. Okay, so now we'll set this back to just a normal looking title strip. We'll do that, and center, put that back to where we want it. And then this is where you, if you want to remove a record in the record edit, you would hit delete entry. We're doing the opposite. We're adding one, so we will save our first record. Now, let's add another one. So we've already entered Harry Belafonte. So when we go to add a next record, and if it happens to have an artist of the same name, it will auto suggest that, so we can choose it. And here it's already got the right sort artist set. We can do that. Add a title. Title A, we'll call that. Title B. Actually, let's make this something long. Title is something long. Or we'll make that something extra long, just to give it a little more. So now we have a long title. Okay, so we'll save that. So now we have 2 records, and we can go over here and see total entries is 2. And then we can sort of see those sorted by title side A. So when we get here, we notice one is blue and one is red. The blue indicates that it's in the print list. Red means it's not. So, and if we go look at our list of title strips, we can see Banana Boat is selected for printing. All right, back to our original list. So if we want to add this one to our print list as well, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can tap it to bring up the detail view. So here's our details showing all the information we entered. And then we can hit plus to add it, or minus to take one away. And you can set title strip quantities at something more than 1. So if I wanted to, I could print 100 of them, but we're not going to do that. We'll hit 0, maybe add 1. And there is also another way of adding and removing items from the print list. So you can swipe right to add, swipe left to remove. And so you see we just removed this one here. We can add it back. So now we have that added to the print list. We have 245 records. We want to get to our 78s. We want to add one. So record entry is pretty much the same. Title strip is defaulted to simplex in this case. We'll go with Elvis this time. Choose Elvis and save that. Done. Add a title. And title for the B side. And we'll just kind of skip down. All these options are all the same as the 45s. The one notable difference is here we actually have a size, so you can record the size of your records. It defaults to 10 inch, but if you happen to have a 12 inch, you can select that. You're probably not loading 5 or 7 inch 78s in your jukebox, but you can record that if it's in your collection. And then encoding is defaulted to mono. So that's one of the differences there. We'll go ahead and hit save. And now we have our first few record entries. So maybe now you're interested in printing some title strips. So we have our list here. Oh, let's go ahead and add our 78 in as well. Oh, not remove. We want to add. Come back to our title strips. And now we're gonna be able to print 3 title strips. So in order to do that, you have to create the PDF, hit the button, PDF is generated, and then up here on the top right is this button. It's a box with an arrow pointing out. What that is really options on what to do with the file. It's not really a print button, it's options that are available. So when I tap that, it will bring up options. Now my options here are limited because I'm running this in a simulator, not on an actual device. So when you run it on your iPhone or iPad, you should see a lot more options. Like you can attach it to an email, you can probably send it in a text message, perhaps open it in a different app. All that will show up here, as well as print, save the files, what have you. So in this case, we'll just bring up print, and it'll bring up normal AirPrint dialog. You need to select a printer and choose your options. You don't want to do double-sided for something like this, although this is one page, so it won't be a problem. And there's your printing options. Footnote or a major note on printing. Sometimes we run into trouble with printing using AirPrint. A lot of times the printer or the printer driver on the iPad or iPhone wants to take the PDF and scale it down to fit within the margins of the page, not actually fit it to the borders of the page. And so it shrinks it down some. And so if you notice your title strips are printing too small, it is getting scaled down. I do not have a solution for that within the app. So you might have to use one of those other options that come up in the list here when you select the button to maybe email it to yourself, open that email on another computer, and then use that computer to print that PDF. And you can check that to make sure that there's any scaling or what have you turned off. So there might be shrink to fit or a scale setting. Make sure the shrink to fit is off and scale is set for 100%. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you print. Okay, now that we have this, I will go through some of the options. So now we have the options for the app. Mainly this is our first section is label printing options. First one is putting quotes on titles. So if we select that, you can see here it's added quotes to titles. If we regenerate our PDF, it will show up on our PDF as well. Now, one thing you will notice is that this one doesn't have quotes on it. That's because this title is taking up 2 lines, and we don't know where the quote starts and the quote ends. So we don't know if we need to quote each line individually or both lines as a group. So we just leave them off in this case. The next option is artist stars. So if we select that, it'll add stars to the artist. Stars will only show up so long as they fit. So if you have a very long artist name, it will be left off. We prioritize showing the artist over the stars. And then there's this option for print new entries. What that does is as you add records, that checkbox that we selected to print entry, that will automatically be selected. So you don't even have to think about it as you're adding new records. That's handy when you've grabbed a set of records that you want to enter in the app and also print title strips for. Select that option, so as you add it, it'll automatically be selected. The next option is font. So you have a number of fonts to choose from. I will just highlight a couple of them. So the top 3 have the most font faces and weights and allows the app to do a better fit while keeping like the height of the titles. So you might want to use that. But you're not restricted to that. We have all these other options. We can marker felt. And then also you'll notice that there are 2 couriers. So the first courier here will bold the titles and leave the artist as unbolded. The second one is courier typewriter. So what that does is it sets everything to be the same size as if you had entered it on a typewriter. So it's sort of simulating a typewriter for you. I will go back and select Avenir Next Heavy. That's my favorite. The next option is to use bold for artists. So you can turn that switch on and it'll bold the artist here. Turn it off. Page layout. So there's different options for paper sizes. So a lot of people just print their title strips on regular sheets of paper and cut them out. So you can do that. So we have options for US letter, A4, as well as some other different sizes for pre-printed title strip sheets. So there are various vendors that sell pre-printed title strip sheets. So it'll have the title strip pattern on it, as well as being perforated. So you don't have to cut it. You just rip them out. So you can do that. And now you're wondering, well, perhaps what happens if I have a pre-printed title strip sheet? So I picked Victory Glass here. They sell pre-printed sheets. So what we want to do is set the use pre-printed sheets. So what that will do is when I go to create my PDF, it will just show the text and some of the alignment marks as well. So you will see the text there and not the title strip. So that works for your pre-printed title strip sheets. Let me turn that off and we'll highlight another thing here, regenerate that PDF, and then we'll zoom in. So one thing you'll notice here on the outside corners are these 2 black marks. That's to help you get aligned for cutting. So if you use one of those straight paper cutters, or if you're just cutting out with scissors, you want to be on the outside of these black marks. So that helps you get that aligned. And then when you want to cut between 2 title strips, there's these additional marks to show you where to cut. Same for the simplex strips. Let's go back to options. Okay, extra info options. So if you've noticed on some of the commercially printed title strip sheets, sometimes they will add the label. Let me get that in there, label. A little separator there, and catalog number. I guess that was to make it so you could see the label and catalog number. So if you wanted to order the record you saw on the jukebox, I guess that's why it was included there. I have no other idea why. So there's other options you can set for that. So this is like side B on a simplex is where you typically would see that. You do have the option of adding it to the side A area, so we could add just catalog number there just to show up. You can do the same for the simplex strips, although this is not going to add anything because I didn't enter that information. So no luck there for demoing that. Okay, next up is this option to random swap A/B titles. So when we hit that switch, it's gonna prompt us to let us know this will swap the titles for the A and B sides for duplex title strips at random when creating the PDF. So it won't swap them in the list, it will swap them when you create the PDF. And we'll click OK, and then we'll get out here and regenerate our PDF. So let's see what has happened here. So it did swap titles on the first one. So some people have asked for that just to sort of even out the A and B side playing. So they want some hits on the B sides. So this will do it at random so they can get their even wear on their jukebox. And then another option is the ability to set the default title strip. So we can change that out. So if you want to use something like this, for instance, you'll notice that this one over here is changed. We can set that to something a little more obvious, like that. Or set it back to the original. And do the same for simplex. So we can change our default options. Now, if you've already changed the title strip, it won't change it. It's just the ones where you have not set the title strip where it's just using a default. There's also printer adjustment. I don't know how many people have really had to use this. Most modern printers seem to do pretty well, at least from my experience. But if need be, you can adjust the top margin to push things up or down a little bit within the page. So you can do anywhere from 1/32 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch. So that's top and then left. So you can move things up and down or left and right. So you can adjust the left margin to adjust it left and right. And next up is record data. So you have the ability to export the data from the app. Your data is not locked in here. What we do is we export the data as CSV, which you should be able to open in any spreadsheet program and view it and edit it if you like. And I will show you a little bit about that later. But for right now, we can just select export. Again, bring up the options. You can open this in other programs, save it to files, what have you. I could do save to files and save it. If I come out later, I could probably see it in my files. And then, so that was all records. You could do just export just your 45 records and your 78 records. And one thing to note, anytime you do an export, it actually adds a timestamp to the file name. So records all will be called, or exporting all records would be called records all, and then a timestamp. So to help you keep track, if you like save a whole bunch of these backups, or as backups, you can distinguish what the time frame was. And then there's some import options. So you can, this app will import from a CSV file or DBF file. The source of DBF files for this app would be, there's two programs. One is Jukebox Stripper, and the other one is Jukebox, which is, I guess, Jukebox 6 right now. You can, if you find the DBF file for that app, and like perhaps send that to yourself in an email, open the email on your iPhone or iPad, you should be able to import that into this app. So you can take an existing collection and import that into here. And then there's options for remapping certain fields. So if you wanted to take some of the information. So in this case, we have release side A that's available in probably Jukebox 6. Select that, and that will go into the location field. And you can do release side B into the slot. So you can repurpose some of the data fields. So if you're not using location to slot, you could then do this. So another thing to look at is there's some built-in documentation that will help explain some of these. So if you forget what some of these options are, so printer adjustments, default title strip, this sort of explains it, what title strip page layout is, a little bit about fonts. So a little helpful documentation just in case you need a quick lookup. Oh, and also in the documentation is you can contact me. My email address is listed at the bottom. You can send me an email with feedback, suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. And then here at the bottom is an option to sign in to Discogs. So that's the same thing as when we're entering a record. Get back here and the option to sign in. So I think we'll do that next. So we can then demo searching by catalog number. So I will sign into my account, and what will happen is we'll just edit this out because I'll be entering my password plus dealing with the darn CAPTCHA, so you don't have to see all that. Okay, once you're signed in, you will be prompted to authorize the app. So at first I will accept cookies. And so it's saying authorize this application to use your Discogs account. So you'll be able to use this app to see what's in your Discogs account, as well as be able to use the Discogs service to search for catalog number. So we're going to authorize the app. Okay. And you will notice that the search button has changed, or the sign in button has changed to a search button. It just happens to be disabled. What we need to do is enter a catalog number to enable that button. So we're going to put in 4470613, which is an Elvis record. So we'll hit search. And here we're shown Elvis Presley Blue Moon. So it does bring up a number of listings. So on Discogs, they sort of track things separately by pressing. So these are really all the same records, the same catalog number. It's just different distribution and pressing. So you can just pretty much pick any one. So I'll pick this one. And now the data is pre-filled on the record edit. It's filled in with the proper artist, titles. But one thing that is missing is you'll probably need to add your own condition. This is very good. Plus, the other thing to check on is genre. You might not agree with the genre that's assigned from Discogs, so you can change that if you decide. And you can enter any other information, what you paid, and things like that. So as before, the date added will be pre-populated by the app. The release date here is coming from Discogs, so this format might be different. So sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's a full date. And so I think we're looking good on this, so we can hit save. And that's our first search by catalog number. Now, there's also an additional search keywords field. So if we enter something that's probably going to give us a lot of hits, 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe. And we've got a lot of hits. Let's see if we can find something that's has a catalog number 1, 2, 3, 4 with maybe the title Love or something. Oh, and we found one. So we can select this. Here we go. We found it. One thing we don't always get from Discogs is the ability to determine the sort artist. So it's prompting me to add the high missing information. So we'll select that and choose Lambert Rudy. Hit done, save. And now we've added another item to our collection just by searching by catalog number. So using the catalog number is a quick way to add records to your collection. You just need to sign in with Discogs. Now, after you've signed in with Discogs, you have additional feature. So if you happen to have a Discogs collection, you can browse that. So I can look at what I've got here. This is all pretty much entered for testing information. So we can pick Beach Boys Ain't She Sweet. Fix the information. It's Beatles for sorting. Save. And now it's been added to my collection. Now when I return back to view this, you'll see this has a check mark next to it that indicates that the catalog number for this matches an item in my record collection that has the same catalog number. It's the only way I can really match it up. So there is the possibility this could be a false positive. So just keep that in mind. Even though we have access to your Discogs record collection, it can't be searched. So that's an unfortunate feature that's missing. That's a limitation of the Discogs APIs. But you can choose different sorts, sort by title or sort by label. So that's viewing your Discogs collection. Other things you might be interested in is importing data. So we will take a look at that. So we're going to have to leave the app to import into it. So we'll go home here and we'll go ahead and open files. And here we have 2 files in here that we can open. What I'll do real quick is, this is the one we just saved with just our few entries. Here's another collection that has a lot more in it. So we're going to open this up, but we're going to long press on it first just to have a quick look at it. So we use quick look, which will open it up to view it as a spreadsheet. So here is what the CSV data looks like. I guess you can swap between pages there. So this is the data we're going to import. So we'll go done and we'll just tap it. And so that automatically opened that file in My Vinyl. And now we're being hit with a warning, importing this data will replace all the existing 45 RPM and 78 RPM record data. So that's one thing to keep in note. It's not going to merge data. It's going to delete all the existing data and use what's in the CSV file to replace that data. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. So data's been imported. And now we've gone through what we had before, 4 entries. Now we have 978 from what I imported. So, and then looking at how we can browse our collection now that we have something more substantial to look at. So if I bring up a list of artists, I can drill down on a particular artist. So we can go, what do I have from Bad Company? I've got 3 records. Oh, and look, one of them selected for printing. So that's by artist. And then we can just do by title A, which is just your entire collection sorted by what's in title A. Or we could do by title B. Once you get past a certain point in your collection, probably less useful. However, genre might be useful. So if you want to go pick out maybe some blues records, you could do that. I just happen to have 2. And then the other thing we have here is, the other thing, like maybe it's come Christmas time. Let's go find my Christmas records, maybe print a bunch of title strips for that. I can do that. I could select this one for, printing. We'll do that. Go back. And so that's browsing by genre. We can browse by record label. Again, this is kind of similar to the other ones. You can do record label, artist by record label. So ABC has Ray Charles, Bo and the Haywoods, Steely Dan, BJ Thomas. And you can do by location. So this set of data happens to have my jukebox. So let's see what's in my jukebox. And I've only got 1 record in it. And also I could go by slot and see what's sorted by slot. Okay, so that's by location. We know about add record and Discogs collection. So that is browsing. Now, take for instance, you've got your iPhone with you, you're at the record store or thrift shop or wherever, and you're just digging through records and you come across one and you're not sure if you have it. Well, you can then search your collection. So we could do search by artist, Beatles. What do I have by the Beatles? And so here's my Beatles collection. Or I could go by title. Let's see. How many have love in the title? Quite a few. We could search by catalog number. So we know RCA has 447, and I believe most everything by Elvis has 06 in it. So this is my Elvis records. And then we could also search on comments. So I typically put whether it's a picture sleeve in there, so I can look up my picture sleeve records. So here's all my records that have a picture sleeve. And that pretty much covers everything. We can look at 78s real quick, or actually we can come back and see what it looks like when we have a full sheet of title strips. So there we have it. I think that covers everything, and thanks for watching.